Here's a trick to remember the cross-partial property of conservative vector fields. So let PQR have continuous first partial derivatives. If the vector field F equals PQR, then we get the cross-partial property of conservative vector fields.
But the problem is, how do we remember this property? Well, I got a trick for you. So first we draw PQR on the above row and XYZ on the below row. And now we draw these diagonal lines to match them together. We can draw a diagonal line from P to Y and Q to X. This will give us the first partial property, partial P over partial Y, because these match, equals to partial Q over partial X. Now we draw the second diagonal from Q to Z and R to Y, and we get the second property, which is partial Q over partial Z is equals to partial R over partial Y. And finally, we draw the last diagonal from P all the way to Z and from R all the way to X. We get the last property, which is partial P over partial Z equals to partial R over partial X.
There we have it. That was a trick to memorize the cross-partial property to determine if a vector field is conservative or not. And now, let's try an example.
Let this be P, this one be Q, and this one be R. So partial P, partial Y, we get Z, partial Q, partial X, Z. So these both are equal, partial Q, partial Z, X, partial R, partial Y, X as well. So these equal partial R, partial X, Y, partial P, partial Z, Y again. So these equal.
Because partial P partial Y equals to partial Q partial X, and partial Q partial Z equals to partial R partial Y, and partial R partial X equals to partial P partial Z, we get that this indeed is a conservative vector field. If you find this memory trick helpful, please consider subscribe and like this video, and see you guys next time. Bye!